In Week 7, the Bengals, Dolphins and Redskins continue to wash out. The Seahawks get their wings clipped whilst the Ravens and Cardinals fly high. The Giants come up short and Aaron Rodgers game manages perfection. The Snap UK podcast. Let's do this!
Hello and welcome to the Snap UK podcast, your weekly review of all things NFL by those in the know on this side of the pond. I am Johnny Thrash, and as ever, I have with me the finest lineup to grace a table since King Arthur's Knights. G-Lo, GBG, 4 foot inches, and Griff.
The original 4 foot inches.
As well as 2 podcast dogs. Week 7 saw the Panthers, Bucks, Browns and Steelers on the bye, so surely we're in for fewer interceptions than usual, with both Jameis and Baker taking a seat. There has been plenty of trade action since last week as we approach the trade deadline, so we'll cover those as we plough through and see who has overspent and who has struck a bargain. So let's start our rundown with 2 of the teams involved most significantly in the aforementioned trades. One in an effort to jumpstart their season, and one stockpiling picks for their next head coach. The Rams blew out the Falcons 37-10 on the road and discover the cure for what's been ailing Jalen Ramsey. Pretty good, weren't they?
Turns out he didn't want to play for the Jags.
Yeah.
I thought he had a bad back.
Yeah, he had a good game.
I think he had a bad attitude.
Yeah. Miraculously cured after one trip to Los Angeles.
Yeah, this was always going to be a blowout. There was never any doubt about it. Falcons don't get any pressure on the quarterback, so Jared Goff gets to stand there all day untroubled, and this is what you're going to get when he stands there all day untroubled.
2 guys did say last week, I could see the Falcons. It was me and you.
Yeah, I know.
And, I was
still making the playoffs?
No,
but beating the Rams.
Someone did say that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
beating the Rams.
I thought it was possible, but this was over very quickly. It was nice fun seeing Devonta Freeman get beaten up by Aaron Donald. Or lifted up.
And a referee.
And a ref, yeah.
Yeah. That surely should have been a flag. He landed full body weight on him. Full body weight on him, there was. Both pounds. It was ridiculous.
They're just awful, aren't they, the Falcons?
Yeah, Dan Quinn's going to be gone. Matt Ryan's probably going to miss this week's games. He was seen in a walking boot. And
I guess that's the question, is it? So Dan Quinn's going, so you can presume most of the staff will go. The 2 questions I have: does Thomas Dimitroff go as well, because he's been there since 2008-ish? And do they draft a quarterback in the draft next year to kind of potentially replace Matt Ryan, who's now, I think he's 34, 35, so he's not the youngest spring chicken. So there's a couple of questions over Atlanta, and whether they actually start rebuilding now, because all their stars are getting older.
When talking of age, they brought in Matt Schaub, didn't they?
he's been there a while.
He's been there a couple of years.
34 years old, but he came in to relieve Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I'm sure he felt much better afterwards.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Matt Schaub did lead the league in passing in 2009, passing yardage, and then the following year he led the league in interceptions. Matt Schaub, everybody. Got the Texans to the playoffs.
He was 6 for 6 on Sunday, though.
And a touchdown.
Yep.
And it was fine in garbage time, basically, but which was all of the second half and any time the Falcons were on. The quick answers to your questions are no, Thomas Dimitroff should stay because actually he's done a very good job in Atlanta. And it's Dan Quinn that's having the problem with the team that he seems to have lost. And yes, they should draft a quarterback because Matt Ryan also still has trade value and they could get a lot if they traded him to, say, the Bears.
Or the Bucks.
Or the Titans.
Or anyone who just needs a better than average quarterback.
Well, I did see on some of the US shows that they were suggesting that Mariota to the Falcons would not be a bad shout.
Yeah, but that's... He's not the...
If the Titans are done...
That would be a backward step for Atlanta, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but if the Titans are done and they're moving on from him, could he do a job there?
You know, I think behind that offensive line, very few quarterbacks could do a job because they were terrible. And it wasn't just one man that was being beaten. Let's face it, there were 5 sacks on the day. Almost every position on that offensive line was being beaten. It wasn't just the tackles. The only person who wasn't beaten was probably the centre, Alex Mack. They were up against a good defensive line, but they were just terrible.
Yeah, there's no redeeming features about the Falcons. We've certainly covered it enough. So Dan Quinn, we're fairly sure is going to go. I still don't know who they think they bring in because I can't tell whether they need an offensive guy or a defensive guy. I don't know. The offense has got all those pieces and is doing nothing.
Well, this is the point. It doesn't really matter if you accept that you're going into a period of rebuilding. Like if you're saying that Matt Ryan's too old to kind of build around now and you're going to move it doesn't matter who you bring in because if you're saying that Matt Ryan's too old, you bring in any coach and he has to pick off what type of quarterback or what type of team that he wants to build kind of in Atlanta. And that is still an attractive franchise. They got an owner in Arthur Blank who's pretty patient with both coaches and GMs. They got a lovely new stadium to work from. They got really good facilities. They've still got good weapons in Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. They've got an extra second-round draft pick now after Mohamed Sanu buggered off to the Patriots to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, we
ring.
should address that in a second.
Yeah, we'll go through that in a minute. So, there's still pieces there. It's a young offensive line who haven't been very good, but, if you can train them up to be better, then there's first-round talent on that
And what
line.
do we think the issues with the defense? Secondary?
It's everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, there's no pass
Where
rush.
should it be, though? Because that
There's no
defensive
pass
line
rush.
wasn't that...
There's no
Injury.
defensive backs. There's not as many injuries as there was last year.
As soon as Keanu Neal is out, this team falls apart. Most teams have a defensive linchpin. He is theirs. Once he's not operating, the team doesn't
But
work.
this is why Dan Quinn should be going. He's a defensive head coach who basically built the Seahawks Legion of Boom. He's taken over defensive play callings. He should be the one getting the defense prepared for the game on every Sunday. And they're shit.
The only thing I'd take issue with of what you've said is right back when you started the sentence. Do you think Matt Ryan is too old? 34, 35. He's got 5 or 6. He can play like Brady. There's been no regression.
Well, you
of Matt
said
Ryan.
they should draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
No, and I think they should, but I'm not saying it's because Matt Ryan's too old. I just think you have to start bringing people.
I think there's enough floating around that you can just pick one up, like a failed one from the Browns or something to sit on the bench. I honestly do. I don't think it's, if you're going to go after someone good, you're talking about giving away a high pick, and I'm not sure they need to do that with Matt Ryan. With this team, clearly, Matt Ryan is not the problem on this team.
No,
So
I
why
agree
would you
with that.
invest your picks into it?
But that's what I'm saying. It's the opportunity to rebuild a new franchise.
I don't think they're at that
Do you
point.
start that with trading Matt Ryan away?
I think it's leadership.
But
I think it's
agree.
purely leadership.
Matt Ryan's still good, but it's still a question mark about. Okay, Brady's a freak. Brady and Breeze are freaks, and they're Hall of Famers.
Jeff Fisher would take this team to 8-8.
Jeff Fisher would take any team. For 8-8.
I think you find sometimes it was 7 and 9.
Mustache wax sales through the roof, though, in Atlanta.
Back to the Mohamed Sanu second round pick. So the Patriots have.
Sorry to interrupt you with this.
Yeah.
I think we underestimate the Rams a little bit. This is a team that got to the Super Bowl last season. Right? They lost 3 games, but this was an offensive line that was just wrecked by Aaron Donald and Dante Fowler. They're great players.
There's 5 of us at this table. We could wreck the Falcons' offensive line.
All right, yeah, they've got more turnstiles than Disneyland. But
Yeah, exactly.
Apart from this week, though, points haven't been the problem for the Falcons.
Yeah, that's true.
Scoring points has not been their problem.
No, Matt Ryan is 2nd or 3rd in the league in touchdown passes. He's also right up there in interceptions, but they've been
Happens if
scoring.
you're chasing games, though.
Yeah, they've just got no defence. Look, the Rams played as well as you would want them to in this game, but let's not pretend that those 3 defeats they've had have been the worst they've played. They've also won games where they've not looked good at all. This is not the same Rams team as last year. They're not
Although
currently.
Gurley did get a touchdown,
He's been getting
and it was a
touchdowns throughout the season.
It
superb.
was a very good catch.
Yeah, very good.
But this is not the Rams team that made the Super Bowl last year.
No.
This is a playoff team at best. They're not going very far if they get there at the moment.
I can't disagree.
So Mohamed Sanu, was he worth the Patriots' second round pick?
Nope.
no.
Always been a poor man's Julio Jones. Always.
But he has one of the best throwing accuracies
Yeah,
of
so
all time.
he's a better backup than Hoyer.
Yeah, I was going to say he's now the second best quarterback on our roster. Before he was a poor man's Julio, he was also a poor man's AJ Green. Don't forget. Do you know what he is though? He fits the bill because he's a team player. This is not somebody who's coming in looking for the limelight. He's going to come in and say, "How do I win a load of games?" Because my career has been spent playing for teams that don't generally win.
Does
a load
this
of
mean
games.
they're just moving on from Gordon?
I think so.
I think so. as
I
well.
think this might be that they've got not the confidence they require that Gordon is going to be fit because he's clearly not fit. And I don't know whether that's a reflection on him or whether he's just injured, but I suspect that this is because Philip Dorsett is clearly the number 2 receiver at the moment behind Edelman.
I can't believe a team that has won as many games as they have has Philip Dorsett as a number 2 receiver.
He was a first-round draft pick.
If you play constantly in the AFC, that's all you need.
It's also true.
I suppose they had Chris Hogan for years, and he's a wet fart in Carolina now, isn't he?
Didn't they drop him?
I don't know. I've not seen. The
fact that no one knows.
Why would anyone want to look up Chris
Yeah.
Hogan stats? I don't know. Paul, you can do that if you like. Look up Chris Hogan stats. You'll find it on wetfart.com, which is probably saved in your profile.
Don't do that on your iPad.
I think I think it's he's at the Panthers, but does he play? I think it's an overspend. But like I said before the show started, the Patriots draft receivers fairly badly. So why not give up something for a character
it's an overspend because the price got pushed up.
What are the
49ers were in for him, and I reckon.
And also, because anytime the Patriots want a player, everyone says it's
Well, that
costing
as
you
well.
a round higher.
And it also almost doesn't matter what we're saying. It's going to be a low second-round pick. It's not.
What did the Bears pay
premium.
for Allen Robinson in the summer?
It wasn't a trade. It was a.
Just free agency.
Yeah.
So why didn't they go for him at that point? Because quite clearly a better wide receiver.
Wasn't it 2 summers ago?
Yeah, I reckon Allen Robinson would cost a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Apparently they went for Sanu at the draft and tried to sign him there and do a deal, and the Falcons said no. The Falcons are going.
He is 6'2", so he is big at least.
He's massive. They're going into, like you say, he's going to replace Josh Gordon. I think the Falcons are going into mini rebuild mode, and are going to start acquiring picks. And this is a very Patriots move. No one's surprised. You wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow they'd acquired 3 more receivers and 2 tight ends, and it's just what you expect. I don't know. It is an overspend, but if it gets them to a Super Bowl.
So speaking of overspends, and back to the Rams, I guess 2 first-round picks for Jalen Ramsey. Overspend or not?
He's only 24 years old, so
And he's probably top 5 cornerback in the league.
I think within 2-3 years, some of the other players will start to come to the end of their careers. I think in 2 to 3 years' time, he will be the best cornerback in the league. So I don't think you are overpaying.
I don't like his attitude, and I find it difficult to spend picks on a player who's got a proven attitude issue.
My only concern is he's got this year left on his contract and a 5th-year option, so it's 18 months of a contract. Then they have to pay him, and then you have to pay him because you don't give a player we don't trade a player for 2 first-round picks and then don't give him a huge contract. It puts a lot of power in Jalen Ramsey's hands, and we've kind of seen what he's like as a person in terms of I've got a backache. I'm not going to play. Oh, I'm better now because I'm on a new team.
And this is what I mean. I just don't trust what you're going to get out of Jalen Ramsey. You're going to get production, but we're going to get a 16-game season if it's or whatever it is. That concerns me, which makes the price slightly high. But I can see why they've paid it because it is the big need on their team.
I think you've got different coaches, haven't you? Like Shanahan and quite clearly picks players based on character first.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Sean McVay is all about winning and winning soon, and he picks purely based on talent.
I think it's a very different philosophy, isn't it? The Rams have always been, since McVay has been there, they've been very much about win now. They've brought in players just to win now this season. They brought in,
who's the best person we can afford and get?
They brought in Ndamukong Suh last season. They brought in Dante Fowler. They traded for Peters. They brought in Aqib Talib,
Brandon Cooks.
Yeah. We're not going to draft people. We're going to spend picks by trading for people and bring them in and have an awesome team. Well, an awesome team on paper.
Okay, well, from one team with just a single win in Atlanta to another, the Jets got stomped on Monday night as New England's defense came up trumps again, notching 4 interceptions and limiting Darnold.
To ghosts as well.
I think it was the ghosts for pass rushing him.
The ghosts seem to be...
Yeah.
Sorry, John.
You were just interrupting his flow. He was basically about to tell you that Darnold scored a .07
I didn't see that was written under
QBR. 0.7 QBR for the game. Darnold.
11 completions from 32 attempts.
Yeah. Look,
86 yards.
there was a lot of talk about the Jets keeping it close with the Patriots because every year they push them, even if they don't win. I think they've lost 14 of 17. But this was over after 4 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it was over
17-0 after the first quarter.
Yeah.
That was that.
So there's a reason why I never tell anybody to pick Jets players in fantasy. It's because they just consistently let you down. After last week's Robbie Anderson 90-yard touchdown, a load of people will have picked him up, and they're morons. I've told them not to.
Don't hold back, Gary.
Timeless times.
I noticed the number of people who are going, the Giants should have took Darnold with that second pick. Those people seem to be quieting down.
Oh, I don't know. I think if you put Darnold in the right team,
He
has all the skills.
Bear in mind, he was AFC Offensive Player of the Week before, or last week. Sorry, he's had a bad game, but he's playing the best defense in the league. I mean, some of his interceptions were bad. Like he was overthrowing, he was underthrowing. The ghosts that he saw when he said that they weren't in the backfield, there were people pass rushing him. And
did you see the drive chart for the Jets? It was amazing. It reads interception, punt, fumble, interception, turnover on downs, end of half, interception, safety, interception, punt, 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 end of game. That is as bad as a drive chart can possibly be.
I mean,
well, yeah, because they didn't score at all.
I mean, you're looking at going, wow, 4 punts, not bad.
The Patriots have now had 30-plus point shutout games twice this season. Only once has that been done before. I think the 91 Redskins did that as well. They are just destroying teams. Their point differential...
What the Redskins would give for that now.
Yeah, the point differential, as I was told it's called when I couldn't remember pre-chat, is the biggest since the 1920 Buffalo All-Americans.
The famous All-Americans.
Yeah, that team through the first few games of the season. Look, Brady is doing okay. The offense isn't really clicking, but it just doesn't have to. They don't have. All they have to do is not cock up.
Like if you can score 2 field goals and be pretty confident you're going to win the game, that's okay.
With Mike Nugent kicking, you're never confident of 2 field goals. But actually, I think he was 7 of 7 kicks in this game.
Do you not think the AFC owners just need to get together, away from Robert Kraft and just go, like, which team are we going to support with, cheap trades?
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Because
it's got to be someone in the AFC.
The AFC is dull, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apart from the Chiefs, it's just dull.
Yeah.
Someone tell me it's not.
No, we can't because it is.
No,
Ravens?
Nothing with Lamar Jackson.
The last time the Jets finished above the Patriots was 2002. 17 years ago. Divisions should change a bit more than that, surely.
Yes. They did beat them twice in the
don't matter shit, does it? It
doesn't matter, though, does it?
2011, 2012?
Yeah, something like that.
Look, the Jets are an okay organisation, but you've got to be better than okay to be the best-run organisation in football.
I think the thing is, like the NFL is all set up for parity, right? In terms of like the worst team gets the first pick of the draft. There's salary caps, so everything's equal. And yet, year after year, New England keep doing it. And yes, that annoys people, but at the end of the day, you just got to salute Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft for the organisation they've got in place to keep doing it.
I don't need to do that.
You do, because like if it's the 49ers, we'd be sitting here laughing and defending them till the cows come home.
The thing I don't get is
till the hills come
the
home.
guy who's been like the coach and GM for since 2000,
something like that. Yeah,
the man who was before that was probably one of the best defensive coordinators of all time.
Certainly up there.
Comes in to basically runs the defense, does the defensive play calling. So one of the best defensive play callers of all time comes in and people go, "Wow, the defense are really good."
Shock.
Really? Wow. Who'd have thought that guy who knows his team and is really good at calling defense would make them play really well on defense? But credit where credit's due, they've been amazing.
It's a testament to good coaching, and it's often overlooked, I think, when it comes to player trading and how the difference a good coach makes to a team.
And it's not like they're like the Rams and they bring in lots of massive stars. Aside from Tom Brady, the biggest stars they've had there, Randy Moss and Rob Gronkowski. There's been other very good players, but not like a stellar, even on the defense, like Ray Lewis or Brian Urlacher. Yeah. There's no one in that kind of league.
What a week.
You look at Julian Edelman, what was he, a 7th round draft pick?
Yeah, exactly. They bring in players that no one else wants, and suddenly they're world beaters, and they go off elsewhere, and they're suddenly crap again. Normally to the Browns.
What do we think about Sonny Michel? Is he the actual answer at running back, or is he just a cog in the mechanism? Because he's got 6 touchdowns this season, but he's averaging like 3 and a bit yards a carry.
I guarantee he'll be there on his rookie deal, and then they'll let him go, and he'll be dross somewhere else.
He's going to be great at the Lions.
Yeah. We'll go to the Lions or the Titans or a team like that and do exactly what
Lewis
does.
The Titans, if you ring up Vrabel and go, Do you want someone who used to be a Patriot? Yeah, okay, yeah.
I just wondered, they wanted running backs that were going to take the pressure off Brady, but it's the same thing every week. They just spread it around whoever's available. We were using a D lineman as a fullback this week because we've got no fit fullback. Ben Watson didn't do a great deal, but had a good block for our first touchdown. But again, it's just shoehorning people in, and this is why the Sanu trade fits, because he will just do whatever. If Belichick says, I'm not going to throw you the ball for the whole game, I just want you to block all game, he's going to go and do that, because that's the character. Yeah. And that's what's required to be a success in New England.
He's WR3 at Atlanta. He might as well do it in New England and get a ring.
Well, exactly. As for the Patriots backfield, I mean, Devin McCourty had 5 interceptions over the last 5 seasons, and had 5 already this year. That's incredible. He's leading the league. The interception in the game was a bit of a juggle. I think he took about 4 attempts to catch it, but he still looked better than any of the Jets receivers in doing so.
The Jets have receivers.
Yeah, Demaryius Thomas had 42 yards, led them, but actually,
Old man Thomas.
Yeah, but actually he had like a 30-yard reception that he dropped, and it hit him in the hands, and there was no one within 6 feet of him, and he just dropped it right in front of all the Patriots staff. It was bad.
That's just it. You guarantee if Demaryius Thomas would have gone to the Patriots, he would have made that catch. And I don't know why. It's just they seem to have a mystique around them.
Yeah, it seems to be. Now, my memory is not what it was. Braxton Berrios, was he not a Patriots player?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was bad for the Jets. He turned up and I was like, oh, that's a name I remember. Oh, he's terrible. I believe, did he muff the punt as well that we jumped on? I think
Possibly.
Michael Slater chased down another one.
I mean, we brought up Chris Hogan earlier, who started at the Bills, was terrible, went to the Patriots, and he's got 3 Super Bowl rings, leaves, goes to the Panthers, and he's terrible again.
But to be fair, he's on IR.
Still.
He'd still be terrible.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'd be better at wideout than him right now.
I bet he still sucks at IR.
Or by not being injured.
Yeah. Last question on the Patriots then. How long can Brady marshal a team that doesn't really need him? It
5
just
years.
needs a competent player.
I mean, yeah.
Because he's not getting
years.
hit any more than any other season, is he?
He's got so much time. To be fair, I think you could
I could play in the AFC for 30 years.
From now.
Fuck it.
Ben Roethlisberger looks like a thumb. Ben Roethlisberger looks like a child drawing of a person, and he's a winning record quarterback. Dreadful. He's not a human being.
That's harsh. I mean, I don't really...
A little bit.
He's quite a good quarterback. Just because he looks a bit like a thumb.
He does look like a thumb.
Does look like
Super
a
Bowl.
thumb. Twice.
He's not...
Yeah, he thumbed
Well,
it
he's
in.
been to Super Bowl 3 times. He's won it twice.
But yeah, I think you could put most of the quarterbacks in this Patriots team in the league, and they'd still do all right. There wouldn't be a huge drop off if you played Matt Schaub, you played Mohamed Sanu,
Brian Hoyer, because we've done it.
you played even if you played
James
Peterman.
Winston? Was that going too far?
Let's not go too far. Let's not mention Winston or Goff or someone.
Nate Peterman came up a lot over the weekend because Darnold had the 4th worst fantasy quarterback stats ever this weekend. Number 1, obviously, was the Nate Peterman 5 interceptions in a half performance a couple of years ago.
Nate Peterman is like probably one of
1,
3.
2, 3.
I don't know who numbers 2 and 3 are, but apparently now Darnold is number 4.
You know, you always
He was -8 at one point,
You used
wasn't
to
he?
go to the arcade and you'd see those top scores that you'd never beat.
Yep.
That's Peterman.
You've got to be seriously unlucky to get picked off 5 times in a half, I believe. Wow.
Who's this Nate guy?
I love that we're still talking about him. Quickly, while we're talking about crap quarterbacks, Brock Osweiler retired. This time last year, we did a podcast about Brocktober. We actually sat here and went, wow, we sat here and said he could drag the Dolphins into the playoffs just by virtue of the fact that he's competent.
He did win a ring though.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he got paid $41 million.
And he was as good as Peyton Manning that year.
Isn't it?
He played that year, didn't he?
$1 million per touchdown.
Yes, it is $1 million per touchdown. 15-15 record as a starter. Got the Texans the following year into the playoffs as well. Even though he was terrible. They went 10-6 and got into the playoffs.
Wasn't that between him and Ryan Mallett?
Yeah, but Ryan Mallett only played 2 games.
Was it Tom Savage or
was it Ryan
TJ Yates?
One of them. I think it might have been Ryan Mallett.
It was basically the year that Bill O'Brien couldn't make up his mind which quarterback to play.
Ryan Mallett was the year before.
Yeah.
It was Mallett and Hoyer.
The revolving door of
Look,
shite.
What he proves is, if you're a tall quarterback, you'll get paid. And because that's the only thing going for him was the fact that, oh my God, he's like 6'7". Great.
That's the only reason Elway drafted him.
The only reason I bring it up here is because we were discussing quarterbacks that could run a team competently. And every week we say such and such a terrible backup is playing. Are you telling me Brock Osweiler is worse than a lot of the backups that are currently employed? I don't really understand
I'm not
it.
having you
He's
studying
taller.
the good name of Cooper Rush.
We've
Okay.
never seen Cooper Rush. He might be amazing. I doubt it, but he might be amazing. I'm just saying. I think it's a premature end to a career backups.
He's got 41 million, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's not
well-
working anymore, does he?
I think we're beginning to see the death of some, Paxton Lynch is never going to come back, is he? I know he's hanging around practice squads.
You mean the
and-
death of Elway's quarterback?
Yeah,
draft
basically
picks?
anyone that Elway has picked. Yeah. When will they get round to just shipping out Joe Flacco?
Well, should we...
Probably about 9 games' time.
You wanna quickly gloss over the Miami Buffalo game where
Yeah,
the Dolphins briefly forgot that they were supposed to be losing,
Tanking, yeah.
and then suddenly remembered.
They remembered.
Yeah.
Shit! Remember the plan?
The problem they've got is they've decided very quickly that Josh Rosen is not the answer, and it turns out the Fitzpatrick scale will happen, and he will keep you in games and play quite well.
It just
Yeah,
seemed
but-
like when he got the rushing touchdown, I just felt like in his earpiece, it would have just been, Ryan, no.
What the hell are you
No,
doing,
Ryan.
Ryan?
You're not supposed to do that.
Ryan, back to usual from now, please.
But do you know what I don't want to see? I don't want to see a team with Ryan Fitzpatrick at the helm go 0-16 because he doesn't deserve that.
Well, they've got to play the Bengals, so there's a good chance they could win.
He's
again.
actually
The toilet
playing
bowl.
really well. I mean, yeah, the rest of the team is still dross. We knew they would be.
Kenyon Drake is now the RB3 in Miami.
Apparently, he's
Yes,
on the
he is.
trading block as
They're just not happy at all, are they, with him?
Yeah,
Well,
because he's too good.
He's too good, basically. They just want to get something for him. So
Actually, if you saw him last week, he's not too good.
yeah, but
playing
he's not
behind that
motivated.
offensive line, no
There's
one
no
would.
point in playing hard. He's just going to get injured, and then nobody will take him. So
Oh, yeah. But
I mean, Josh Allen still not that impressive as a passer against a bad defense. 16 of 26, 202 yards.
Yeah, but he didn't throw any interceptions.
No, he did not, which is very good for him.
Rare for him. Yeah.
And future Hall of Famer Frank Gore still racking up the arse, 55 this time on 5 carries. They
literally-
just did enough. Buffalo,
I think
didn't
they're
they?
going to the playoffs this year.
I think they
Bills.
are as well. They're
Yeah,
5 and
I
1.
agree as well.
They've got John Brown, who was amazing.
Great dance moves.
Yep. You thinking of James Brown?
no.
No,
John
if
Brown,
if
he
you'd
did
have watched his
dancing.
touchdown,
Well, I didn't see this particular game. 5 receptions, 83 yards, 16.6 yards per catch. I mean, that's fairly impressive on anybody's
But
book.
this is the John Brown, situation where
Yeah.
you come in off free agency, you're great for a couple of games. Everyone goes, God, you remember how good John Brown is? And next year he'll be somewhere else.
To be fair, he only went off the ball in Baltimore because they changed the quarterback from Flacco to Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, he
never
can't
passed him
throw
the
it.
ball.
He
Yeah.
was brilliant last
Yeah.
season under Flacco, and he's the ideal wide receiver for Josh Allen,
Yeah.
who can only throw deep. Have you seen him trying to do like the 5-yard passes to Cole Beasley, where he just hurls it at him like a full-on 100-mile-an-hour pass, and it just hits Beasley in the face?
Kaepernick used to be like that as well. They
he used to rifle it.
receivers used to moan that he'd
Yeah.
throw like a 5-yard pass and it would sting their hands.
Got no touch at all.
Yeah.
That's what some players can't do. Brady will appear in your hands without any. You won't hear it. It's just there. Whereas Josh Allen is just going to wing it at you. I'm sorry.
Nothing.
Oh.
Well, should we mention Thursday night? Chiefs. Mahomes is now injured for the next few games.
So I think Andy Reid misunderstood some things, right? He must have heard someone say we need more out of our quarterback and just misheard what they said.
We need more quarterbacks.
We need more at quarterback. No problem.
The week before, how many quarterback sneaks did the Patriots run with Brady?
It was at least 2.
Two.
He got 2
2 or
touchdowns.
3, yeah.
At least, there
least
was,
two.
it was
one
quite a
every
lot.
week, yeah.
I think, including fourth downs, it was 3 or 4
Yeah,
they
yeah.
ran in 1 week with Tom Brady. So it's part of his job. I've a few people saying, he's got a bad ankle. Should we Should you
But
be doing
it wasn't his ankle that he injured. It was his,
his
it was
knee.
just-
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
This is just the thing. It's just pure chance.
It's
It's
a footballing injury. That was the right play. It was the right call.
All quarterbacks have to do those quarterback sneaks either on the goal line or fourth down. They have to know how to do that and do it safely in terms of themselves. It was just bad luck, unfortunately.
Yeah, you look at Drew Brees. He's a master of it, isn't he?
Yeah, they all do it.
Yeah, so
Killed my fantasy, but there we go.
Mahomes, they're saying, will be back in 3 weeks. Let's say it takes an extra week for him to get back up to speed. Is this really going to cost the Chiefs that much?
3 weeks takes them to the bye.
Well, okay, so then, so does it really cost them that much? If they go 1-2 under Matt Moore,
I think they'll be fine.
They're going to be fine.
I think you'll find his name is Matt Moore. That's him. In no way did we coordinate this. Yeah. As you know, I'm a big Matt Moore fan, and I'm delighted that we're going to be seeing more of him. He was perfectly fine. 10 of 19, 117 yards, touchdown, 1 sack, and that was about it. But he didn't rack up a sack. He got sacked. That would be impressive. He's playing defensive.
That would be impressive.
Even more.
I've heard.
On the flip side, Joe Flacco got sacked 8 times.
Yeah,
against a team who didn't have a very good pass rush the week before.
8 times for a loss of 72 yards. He only threw for 213 yards.
8 times.
Yeah.
His backup came in. Literally
Colby
did
Wadman.
nothing other than
And got sacked.
Kobe Waldman got sacked for -7 yards.
Literally 1 snap and a loss of sack for 7 yards. That's amazing.
The Broncos have given up the ghost on the season. They are done. Joe Flacco needs to be benched, but they've got Kobe Waldman and no one else.
Drew Lock?
He's injured.
Drew Lock's still on IR, and he's not ready. He will not play.
He can't
this
come
season.
back until week 8 anyway.
They will not play him. He's not ready.
I wouldn't play him behind that offensive line
No.
either. He'll get destroyed.
Joe Flacco is basically a statue. It's hilarious. He just stands there, pats the ball, looks to throw it,
And gets
and just gets taken out. You can see it coming. Manuel Sanders has been traded by the Broncos to the 49ers.
Yep.
That came through as we were sitting down to record. That, for me, is the death knell of the Broncos season. It was done, but this is basically management saying, right, Fangio, rebuild this team because there's nothing here. They've got nothing.
So I follow the Broncos.
Hey, they got Big Royce.
They have got Royce. He had a good game, sort of. 35 yards and a touchdown. So I'll take that for fantasy, as I lost massively.
Yep.
So I followed the Broncos Europe on Twitter because they followed me, and I'm just a polite guy.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. There's apparently more trades coming. Apparently Chris Harris could be available.
Yeah, I keep hearing this, and there'll be plenty of
his
takers.
contract's up at the end of the year as well, I think. So it makes sense if
They
can
don't
get
wanna pay
they're not going to pay him. So if they can get something for him this season, like you say, this season's gone for them. Might as well try and get some more draft picks, rebuild next year.
I actually think this is a really sad end for Joe Flacco. Like, he hasn't been good for a few years, but
he hasn't been good since about 2012.
yeah, but the good moments in the past were like real highs. Like, you'd have 6 weeks of dross and then 2 weeks where he was absolutely winging it for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns.
I don't know. He hit that one period where he was pretty good for 4 weeks consistently.
Yeah. That one postseason with no interceptions and the most touchdowns ever thrown in that period.
Yeah, and a Super Bowl ring.
And a Super Bowl ring over who?
Bastard.
Oh, the 49ers.
Yeah. It's all conspiracy.
Somebody switched the lights out. That was the one. I just think it's a shame to see him go out like this. This was a bad
He hasn't
move.
gone yet.
Oh, he has. He's not able to do anything. He got sacked 8 times by Kansas City.
Kansas City were in the AFC Championship game last season. You don't get to
Yeah,
their
but
defense is
their-
bad.
Their pass
you do.
rush has
You're
not
doing
been,
the AFC.
Yeah.
Their
That's a very good point.
pass rush is pretty pitiful, and I mean, it's yet more of a highlight of the offensive line problems in the league in general. But you cannot be an immobile quarterback anymore. You just can't do it. You have to have such superior coaching to keep you in that pocket, and this team doesn't have that. So I'm afraid Flacco and co. It's just going to be the same every week.
Okay, so more twists and turns in the NFC North this week, as the maligned quarterback showed what they can do, and one absolutely pooped the bed. So, firstly, the Vikings, riding a great performance from the rejuvenated Kirk Cousins, knocked off the Lions 42-30, despite the best efforts of Matt Stafford, who was as impressive as almost everyone this week. Cousins He's got a 3-game stretch as impressive as any quarterback ever, apparently. Can he keep this up?
No, clearly not. It's just the Fitzmagic cycle starting all over again with a different quarterback.
Clearly, yes, he can. He has got some great offensive weapons around him. He's been given some freedom to play. A lot of it was down to the O-line and the offensive calling. I think they've allowed him a bit more freedom. Now they can see that he can throw the ball. I think they'll do it a bit more. And his stats before the first 6 games this year, I know you proved a load of rubbish with stats earlier in the season, Griff, but there was lots of stats for the last 2-3 years that was showing he was as talented as most quarterbacks in the league. That's why he got paid. So, yes, I think whilst he settles into the Vikings and they improve and they are in games, yes, he can keep doing it.
Do you remember that section of the season a couple of years ago when Blake Bortles went through a run of 6 games where he was really good?
Yeah, and he called him Man of the Year.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
I didn't call him.
Do you remember that?
We were all-time man of the year, I think you'll find.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
Blake Bortles went through a hot streak.
Apparently, though,
and
about that, you on the time man of the year, it didn't mean me and you. It just meant the YouTube generation and the people doing all the YouTube channels. So,
well, that could be us.
just for a little bit of guidance for you.
I think what Griff's saying is that any quarterback can have a streak and look amazing. And
when I streak, I don't look amazing. Just so you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know.
Glistening.
So where, you have a go at Cousins. So where do you put him then in the league?
In Minnesota.
Well, what's the scale? What you want to know, like 1 to 32?
Is he a top 10? Is he
No.
top 15?
He's top 15.
Yeah,
I don't think
he's in.
top 10.
He's in the. So if you cut the league in half and you've got the 16 best and 16 worst, he's in. He's just about in the top 16.
He's basically the new Andy Dalton.
Yeah, it is.
See, I
top
would
10
say
for me.
I would
He's
say
top 10 for
he's
me.
around the top 10. I would say
Like
maybe just outside.
Andy Dalton was good because he had a lot of good pieces around him. I think the same can be said for Kirk Cousins. He's good because he's got 2 great wide receivers, a really good running game. The offensive line has improved a lot, but it's still not brilliant. And he's working with a really good defense who are keeping him in some games as well. I think he's also benefited from playing some pretty dodgy teams recently. Like he's had 3 wins on the bounce. One was against the Giants. One was against the Eagles, who are bad at the moment. And then he's beaten the Lions, which is probably a good result. He's got to play the Redskins on Thursday night. And then they're away to the Chiefs. So, yes, they're going to beat the Redskins. But, this streak could end pretty soon.
I feel that based on the number of injuries in the league that we've had at quarterback and everything, I feel he's top 10 for me. If you look at the last 5 games, he's got 1,383 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception, 74.8, basically 75% completions. It's a streak. But considering it was a streak of piss before this, he's got great weapons. Stephon Diggs doesn't seem unhappy anymore.
And you've got to remember his career stats are based around spending most of his career in Washington.
With no receivers.
With nothing at all.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think, let's just see how the rest of the season pans out. But I do think you guys are a bit harsh on him. And he's not going to be my new Blake Bortles because there could never be another one. But I do think you are a bit harsh on Cousins. I think he's better than you give him credit for. He does fumble the ball a lot. Don't get me wrong, but he gets hit a lot. So I think he is better than you say.
He's in impressive form at the moment. We can't doubt that. Like we use stats to point out that he was terrible a few weeks ago. Though the last 3 weeks you can't use those stats anymore because he's producing the goods.
Yeah, it's all about win on Sunday. So it's fine. He's playing
Thursday. Sorry, they're playing on Thursday.
Yeah, okay. Win your game and that shuts people up is the point.
Oh, does that put Cousins in prime time?
Well, and then in which case it will all fall apart.
But it's against the
Redskins. It always
Redskins.
does.
But you got to remember, the all-conquering 49ers didn't look overly great against
The weather was the thing.
Whoa!
On offense.
Come on.
On offense.
No one would look good in that weather. Let's talk about that game later.
But yeah, what weighs heavier? Just the fact that the Skins suck that much, or Kirk in prime time?
Old team as well.
His whole team weighs the most. Ham. And he looked impressive.
You do love a bit of ham, don't
I
you?
do love CJ Ham.
CJ Ham, average of 9 yards per carry.
Cook Ham.
Touchdown, though.
And
Receiving touchdown. wasn't it?
Receiving touchdown, I think. Yeah.
Dalvin Cook just is.
That's right.
After 2 years of injury, it's great to see him.
Pounded hand.
He's had half a season now. He's just so
Kamara-esque, isn't he? Definitely. Well, he's got every facet in his game.
Dalvin Cook's the league leading rusher currently.
We last year around this time we did a power ranking of wide receivers, and the number one is no longer in the league. It was Antonio Brown.
It was.
So next week it could be quite interesting if we did a running back power rankings, who come out on top, because Cook's got to be top 3.
Well, yeah. He's 725 yards so far this season, which is 10 more yards than Leonard Fournette, who's second. So
Yeah, it's Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, and Christian McCaffrey.
and let's face it, like when Kirk Cousins wasn't good before this streak, Dalvin Cook was carrying this team to wins.
Oh yeah,
And they're using him responsibly. We said last week that Madison comes in, so you're not using Dalvin Cook all the time in games. So yeah, they're also managing him responsibly, which is great.
yeah. And on the other side, Marvin Jones had one of his games where
one of his 3 games a season where he scores a load of touchdowns. Was
Yeah.
it 4 touchdowns in this game?
Yes.
Basically,
He's a frustrating fantasy player.
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah.
Kenny
I had him earlier
Golladay.
in the season and dropped
I
him 'cause
almost
he's
picked him up because I was
just
like,
so inconsistent.
no.
I had him the last couple of seasons, and I've loved having him. But you basically put him in your lineup every week and cross your fingers because it's boom or
Yeah.
bust. Kenny Golladay got doubled all day in this,
Oh, didn't he just? Yeah.
and he got to get 1 catch.
He got me a grand total of 3.9
How about
points.
TJ Hawkinson?
Don't get me started.
What is he doing though? Because he really
Not
isn't
a lot.
doing much this year at all.
No,
they're
he
not-
started
they're
off like a
not
house on
targeting him, are
fire.
they?
No. He's had it. Well, he gave me 3
Stafford
catches
hates
for 80
tight
yards.
ends.
They don't go far enough down the field. Is
Well,
that the
yeah.
issue?
Well,
Doesn't throw the ball short very often, does he, Stafford?
no, they went through, didn't they? A couple of years ago, they went through a period of trying to get him to play the 5 to 7 yard passes, and his
That's
completion
not-
percentage went through the roof, but the team weren't winning.
But that's just not his game. He's now racked up 40,000 yards, passing yards. He's
Quicker than anyone
quickest,
else.
quickest QB together. And that's just because he spent most of his career passing or lobbing long bombs over to Calvin Johnson.
In the 4th quarter when
Yeah.
they'd already lost the
Exactly.
game.
Who's the better quarterback, Stafford or Cousins?
I was just about to ask that.
Sorry,
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Are you asking who's the most talented?
I'm asking if you had a 16-game season ahead of you and you could only pick one of them to quarterback your team, which one are you taking?
Stafford.
Stafford. Gary desperately trying not to say Stafford, but he's clearly going to have to concede. Oh, come on, he's
Cousins.
I'd be interested to see what Stafford did with this Vikings team.
They'd be unstoppable.
I would like to see Stafford with a running offense.
I'd like to see Stafford with a decent team.
Well, on the running offense, Kerryon Johnson went off injured and he's just been put on injured reserve.
Oh, is he done?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Who had him on their team?
I'm playing Gary this week. he's got Elliott on the bye and Kerryon Johnson on injured reserve. I'm going to celebrate that.
Might want to pick up JD
Apologies
McKissick.
to Kerryon Johnson if you're listening. I hope we should.
Would you like to trade with me for Joe Mixon?
No, that's right. Luckily, I've got Tevin Coleman and Sonny Michel. So
That is fairly lucky.
I'll just have to play Edelman at the flex position. So, fuck you, John.
How many pieces away are the Lions from being competitive in their division? Because their division is difficult with the Vikings and the Packers, and not the Bears. But I don't feel like they're far away. They're not closing games out. But
No, I don't think they're far away. I think they probably need one or two new pieces on the defense.
But it's draftable. They don't need to start giving up big things. And it's
not
all
at all.
something that in the 3rd year under Matt Patricia, you would imagine they would have those pieces in place.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I think he's buying himself time.
I'm impressed with Patricia this year because it's.
Well, a lot of us thought he was going to get sacked, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it's strong coaching,
I
which
didn't.
is something we mentioned earlier. So he's
I
obviously
think
from that
it's definitely
stable.
progression. I know the record doesn't look brilliant, 2, 3, and 1, but actually you can see progression from where they were where they were last year.
I mean, also, this is one of the strongest divisions in the
Yeah,
league.
exactly.
So it's hard.
Yeah, so speaking of that, the Green Bay Packers beat the Oakland Raiders 42-24.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron
What
Rodgers,
a game manager!
the best game manager
Wow,
currently out
that
there.
was some game management.
That was
He's my
6
favourite game
touchdowns.
manager.
6 touchdown game manager. So the thing here is, he if he only has to do this 4 or 5 times a season, where he just turns up and blows a team away, then that has got to be much, much better than him having to come out every week without a defence and sling the ball around and hope for the best.
This is different, though. This is the first time he's been perfect.
Yeah, it's the first time any Green Bay Packer has been perfect in the quarterback position. That is incredible.
Yeah, but who have they had a quarterback before, you know?
Well, just when you have Favre, you don't expect perfection, really. You just expect gunslinging. Yeah.
True.
But
I mean, to get perfect passer rating and basically be one of the best game managers performances
it was
I've seen,
superb.
from what's essentially just dross at wideout, it's great.
Well,
Yeah,
is
Is
it
it Ross or is it just young, inexperienced players? I think that's a bit
He
harsh.
didn't throw it to a wide out until the second quarter.
Well,
threw
have
it
you
to
ever
his-
heard of Rumfro, Vitali and Lazard? We heard of Lazard last week.
That
Yep.
sounds like the worst firm of solicitors I've ever
It really does.
Absolutely
Valdez
does.
Scantlin's starting to look like a bit of a player.
Yeah.
I think.
He's always
Coming
he's
back
always
from
looked
You've
the
got
right.
alright.
Devontae Adams
Yeah.
as well, and you got Allison. So I'm not sure you can say they're terrible, Paul.
This week they did it without Devontae Adams,
Yeah.
didn't they?
They did?
Yeah, but my point is, I don't think that is an
But I
awful.
meant this week. I didn't mean in general.
No, this week's performance was incredible based on the fact that he didn't have most of the players you'd expect them to usually depend on.
As
And-
well, they had when
Jimmy Graham turned up, though.
Lazard as well.
This season.
Yep.
He could have had more. He had some drops as well. So there was. It could have been even better.
Yeah, MVS had 133 yards and a
It was
touchdown,
a bad one.
which is that's wide receiver one numbers. You got to think with Devontae Adams in the team, you'd be better off. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Every week.
Every week, it's because I forget when we're not on air to turn the sound off on my laptop, and then what you get is a news conference from Aaron Rodgers saying how good he is this week,
Yeah.
feeling that the offensive performance has been coming all season.
He earned,
Yeah.
he earned that Scotch this week.
He has earned that.
It was close this game though, and then they just ran away with it, didn't they? Because the Raiders' defense just looks quite poor.
Yes, they've still
They've
got
just traded away another cornerback, haven't they?
they've still got no pass rush on the defense. And
Apparently-
Gary and Connolly
Yeah.
has gone
Yeah.
to the Texans, which I think is a good move.
Who they play this week?
Yeah,
so clearly
that
that
was a bit silly.
Well, clearly that Gruden is thinking they're going to wheel out this cornerback that I think is rubbish, and we're just going to target him all game.
Yeah, but
He was a third-round pick, wasn't he?
first round.
First
Was he
round
a
pick.
first
It was a
round?
first
Yeah.
round pick a couple of years ago.
He was.
Gruden didn't want him. It's been clear, and I don't think he's
never
worth
been that
pick.
great.
No.
But speaking of good draft picks, Josh Jacobs has proven to be a remarkable running back. He had 21 carries, 124 yards against Green Bay.
And he
Against
went
a-
out of the game briefly as
against
well.
a good defense as well. We've been lauding the Green Bay defense, but actually the Raiders' running game is really good this year.
Can we all laugh at Carr winning at the goal line?
Again,
Oh.
He should not be allowed.
didn't he do this last year?
Yeah, he
as
should
well. Fumbled it out of the end zone for a touchback again.
I saw a tweet saying Carr should not be allowed 400 yards in front of a goal line because he's just going to drop. It is.
It was a bad decision.
Yeah,
It was a bad decision, but Gary was saying before we started tonight, actually Derek Carr's played well this season, and I think
his
he
stats
has.
at the weekend were pretty good. 22 completions of 28, 293 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. That's all right. He had a rating of 119.
Better or worse than Kirk Cousins?
Worse.
I would say they are pretty much in the same
I'd say
place.
they're
They're
level
15
pegging.
and 16 in the league for me.
Considering who Derek Carr's thrown to as well, okay, Darren Waller's had a real breakout
Darren
year.
Waller,
And he's got- he's now
126
got a
yards
new
and 2
contract,
touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's literally throwing to Doss.
Keelan Doss.
Keelan Doss, Marcel Atman, and Trevor Davis.
If only they had
Didn't
the
we go to
best
school
wide
with him?
receiver in the league, eh?
I mean, look, I've been.
He's not the best
It's
wide
been
receiver in
good
the
to
league.
see. It's been good to see Derek Carr actually getting some praise and probably keeping himself in his job. But you still get the feeling that if Gruden just decides he likes Mike Glennon more, you're going to see Mike Glennon next year. He came out and played. He got himself a touchdown. You just get the feeling there's a reason why Mike Glennon and Nate Peterman are in this team, and it's because
I think they're picking up a quarterback in the draft.
I'm not sure. I don't know. He likes older, experienced quarterbacks. He always has.
I think Carr would find lots of landing places.
Yeah,
I do as well.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Imagine Derek Carr on the Bears squad.
All the Bucks.
Yeah.
all the
Like
Titans. I mean, you keep going. There are numerous teams that need a quarterback. now.
Broncos.
Yeah, he
Him and Cortland Sutton would be lovely to watch.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Sure.
mentioning the Bears, the Saints beat the Bears 36-25.
That scoreline doesn't do the Saints justice.
It was never
at all.
that close. It's all over for the Bears for the playoff hunt, right?
Yes.
I mean, they're done.
Well, in that division, like we were saying,
Yeah.
like the Packers and the Vikings are going to be the top two.
And does this
NFC's tough this year.
Yep.
It is.
With the
Very
re-emergence
tough.
of the
Very
NFC
tough.
West. Very tough.
Does this not further prove the point that Mitch Trubisky or Chase Daniel, it doesn't matter, your quarterback's not good enough for this team?
I'll take you back to the draft in 2017,
How did they...
and you're sat there with the third pick of the draft, and you trade up to get a quarterback, the number 2
Deshaun
pick,
Watson, Mahomes?
and you pick Mitch Trubisky.
Who has gone nowhere since year one?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I'd say he was better last year than the first year, but year 3, he's just been terrible.
How long before Ryan Pace has to say, we're chucking this in?
They looked better with Chase Daniels, didn't they? Like when Trubisky was injured, they looked better with Chase Daniel.
I mean, to be fair, coming back off injury, what was he in a sling or something?
Yeah,
Coming against the
Trubisky
Saints
picked the
defense.
coach, though, didn't he?
but I wouldn't say it's all Trubisky.
That did happen, didn't it?
What's that?
Trubisky
Yeah,
picked
he
the
was involved
picked
in
the
it.
Yeah,
coach.
he was involved in this.
I wouldn't put
decision,
it all on Trubisky. He's not been great, but some of the play calling's been absolutely terrible. Bear in mind, he's just coming back off injury. He was asked to throw 54 times. There
Yeah,
was
it's-
like
they don't know what to do to get the
They've
best
got
out of them.
2 quality running backs in Tariq Cohen and David Montgomery, and they had 5 carries.
Hang
between them.
on. Montgomery is a quality running back?
He was brilliant in college.
Has he been a quality running back for
He's
the first
never-
6 weeks?
He's had a couple of good weeks.
He's had a
but
couple
this
of good
week
weeks.
he
You give
was
him
terrible.
2 carries. 2 carries.
They don't
You give
trust him.
Tariq Cohen 3 carries.
They don't trust him.
They don't trust.
They clearly
Tariq
don't.
Cohen.
They just looked a little bit short in running back for me.
Oh, he got dissed on the sideline, man. That was bad.
Listen,
The
his tweet
player who
today,
got
though.
this, though, did get injured immediately afterwards, did he not?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, literally.
fair
Got
enough.
injured straight away.
But then you also look at the decision to trade away who's the
Howard.
Thank you, Jordan Howard, who's now at the Eagles. Who's okay? If you don't trust Montgomery, keep Howard.
Yeah.
Like you can't ask Trubisky to throw 54
I think
times.
Montgomery's a talented player. They're
I
just
do
not
as well.
utilising him.
I think, Mike, if you've got any questions about Montgomery, say your piece now.
Yeah, Mike, if you
He's
think
fine.
he's that bad,
Yeah. No, I think Montgomery's fine.
yeah. On the flip side, though, Bridgewater is proving it. Yeah, I think that they're taking the
Steady hand.
stabilizers off Bridgewater and allowing him to play over the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks. Sorry, and he looks good. I seriously, if the Saints go on and win the Super Bowl, which is a distinct possibility, I reckon Breeze is retired and Bridgewater's got that job. He's a shoo-in.
I agree. I don't think they'd move on because they've clearly shown they can build around him. What do they do with Taysom Hill, though?
just keep him receiving. He's got 4 career scores. and
I'm not sure
he
he's
still
good.
hasn't thrown.
Yeah.
I don't think he's good
he's
enough to be a.
He's a gimmick. That's what
I
he
think
is.
he
starting
probably
quarterback.
knows that as well. I think he probably appreciates the role he has.
Is
in
he a
the
better or
Warriors.
worse gimmick than Mitch Trubisky? Is where I was going with that.
No,
He's a better gimmick.
He's
not
not
a better
He's not a
quarterback.
starting.
Is he not a
quarterback.
better rusher than Mitch Trubisky? Out of
That's
moving
not,
out.
It's not
of
the
pocket?
role of a quarterback, is it?
I don't know.
That's not what Trubisky's there to do.
Just because
Trubisky's
Lamar
there to
Jackson,
suck.
is a running quarterback, and that's mainly what he can do. That's not where the league is going. Full stop, is it?
No, it's not. I'm just thinking on that Bears team. Bearing in mind their Super Bowl window as a unit is probably another 2 years with that
I
defense.
think it's probably over.
Yeah, but with competent quarterback play or exciting quarterback play, you could
just,
make a
you
case
know,
for it. Quarterback
I'm not
play,
sure.
quarterback
I'm
play.
not sure we've seen enough evidence to say that Taysom Hill could provide consistent quarterback.
But we've
play.
seen enough evidence to say that Mitch Trubisky can't. So why not roll the dice and try and get someone just to make a difference and see?
You can get someone. I wouldn't go for Taysom Hill.
I just think it's a waste of a career there.
What do you mean it's a waste of the career? He's on a quality team. He's playing. He's got a decent role in that
What's
team.
he getting paid as?
Backup quarterback. I think he's.
So he's probably on like $4 million a year then. So
He's not.
I bet he's not. I bet he's only on hundreds of thousands, which sounds amazing. Wasn't he described as being the
The news.
the new Steve Young?
Yeah.
Well, if he's that good, he should be playing somewhere. And
quite clearly, he is not the new Steve
If he was
Young.
that good, he'd be playing somewhere.
the Saints.
He's getting paid $645,000 this year.
Yeah.
Dollars.
It's not bad.
No,
Really, when you
we'll all
think-
take it.
when
How many
think about-
minutes? How many minutes does he spend on the pitch?
Not many. No, this is my point. I just thought he might be looking at the situation and thinking, I should be doing something to promote me.
But it's the same as other players. You come in and you do this sort of short cameo, and you look great. You look great with Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. Stick him in the Titans, he's going to suck because the players around him suck. He's going to get half a second to throw a ball. I think he's elevated by the fact he's a saint. He shouldn't move unless
like Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
She's elevated by the fact she's a saint, right?
Exactly, yeah. But no,
and would be just as effective a quarterback as Mitch Trubisky, I don't doubt.
But yeah, no. If Taysom Hill is your answer, then I worry because
you worry what the question is. Is that what you're saying? Oh, anything you want to share with the group, Gary? No. Speaking of Jordan Howard, as you were a moment ago, so I can't understand A, why the Bears let him go, and I can't understand B, why the Eagles aren't getting more out of him, because he's a quality running back.
Yeah. I mean, he had 50 yards on Sunday night, I think. When
they haven't had a 100-yard rusher yet this season.
He only had 11 carries, though.
I think that there's a soon-to-be free agent in Los Angeles who they could get.
Well, I agree. We're going to chat about trades later, but there are a number of teams, the Lions, the Bears, and we're talking about the Eagles, who could feasibly make an offer for Melvin Gordon.
JJ?
Yeah, he's being worked out apparently by several teams. But
why not?
There's concern over the knee injury still. That seems to be the issue.
Where's LeGarrette Blount?
He is sitting at home on his sofa, nursing his 3 or 4 Super Bowl rings, whatever it was. He ended up
bigger
with.
and bigger.
Like Super Bowl winning 1,000-yard rusher CJ Anderson.
Yeah.
Because, and again, why the Rams have not just re-signed him, I do not know. So the Cowboys halted a 3-game slide with the divisional win over the Eagles. And Dak was the better quarterback on the day. And Carson Wentz has stagnated at the Eagles, right?
Yeah, I think there's deeper problems at the Eagles. That locker room is not in cahoots with each other. That Lane Johnson came out and said that people are going to be held accountable. Like, people are showing up late for meetings. Malcolm Jenkins came out and said, actually, that's not the case at all. Like, they can't even agree what the problem is. So there's definite issues there. There's also been issues about people saying that the playbook is too complicated and no one can understand it, and that would indicate why Carson Wentz is doing so badly. I think they need to have
supposed to be super intelligent, Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I think they need to. Like, Doug Peterson needs to sit down and go, right, what's going wrong here? Because they've got a lot of talent on that team and they're not performing.
But he did guarantee last week that they would beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, that was a bit stupid.
And then DeMarcus Lawrence basically just
he came out and said, I'm not going to guarantee it.
Wow.
But then he said, we're going to win.
We're going to win.
But not guaranteed.
I believe DeMarcus Lawrence just smoked him after the game and basically said, I don't want to talk about that man and his guarantees.
That's the first time a Doug Peterson team's ever conceded 27 first-half points.
Yeah. The secondary is awful.
This is a very
good secondary is terrible. Like, they should have done what the Rams did and break the bank for Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, why weren't they involved in one of these mega deals? They clearly feel they've got enough, but they don't.
Obviously, they didn't want to give up as much as the Rams gave.
They're trying to understand their playbook. They haven't got time to do this.
It shows you how quickly a Super Bowl winning team can fall apart, because they are well off the pace.
Yeah, I don't think their offense is great, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but they're struggling without Deshaun Jackson.
There's not much inspiring on that offense.
Deshaun Jackson's only been there 2 minutes.
He's been there 2 minutes. He was the best wide receiver they've had all season, and he's 32.
Zach Ertz cannot carry that offense forever.
Can't carry it now.
This is also the problem with Carson Wentz, is he doesn't throw to tight ends that much. Like, Zach Ertz had his best game when Nick Foles was the quarterback.
Yeah, most receptions by a tight end of a season ever.
Yeah.
Well, again, they were just better in general when Nick Foles was a quarterback, and this is a problem because as Carson Wentz, where are you going?
He was MVP potential until his knee.
And since then,
he's been terrible.
Oh yeah,
he's always been distinctly average. He's been better than Mitch Trubisky, but he's not been as good as Dak Prescott.
Keeping with this week's theme, I'd currently take Kirk Cousins over Carson Wentz, just so you know.
That's a strong shout.
That is a strong shout from me.
Cowboys have also said Garrett is not going to get sacked this season as well. Did everyone see that?
I mean, that's
come out after you beat him.
Yeah, that's this week's commentary. I think he'll be sacked at the end of the season.
I don't think he'll get sacked.
Well, no, this is his last year of his contract, isn't it? So
yeah,
he won't get sacked. He'll just not have a contract renewed.
This time last year, we were discussing Brocktober earlier. This time last year, the Cowboys traded for Amari Cooper and gave up big draft capital for Amari Cooper.
First round.
How well has that worked out since they had him.
Have they signed him to a new contract yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So until I know that they're going to get to keep him, I think you've got to reserve judgment on that.
I mean, the whole offense looked a lot better, but they're playing against a bad Eagles defense. Like,
He has changed the...
Since he got there, they haven't. I don't think they've lost a game that he scored a touchdown in. Like, he has made a massive difference.
They stopped it all being about Zeke.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another 106 yards this week. I just think he's
I think Williams
quietly
coming back
very
has
impressive
helped as well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, completely agree.
It's helped his career as well because people will forget how terrible he was at announcing.
He's no 3 touchdowns in one game Swain. But he's a decent option, yeah.
Well, you had Blake Jarwin scoring from the tight end position this week. What do you feel about that?
1 reception, 1 yard, 1 touchdown. Nice.
Blake Jarwin.
They need to.
John
So
lost.
the Cowboys go into the bye week this week. Is this the time where Dak gets a new contract?
Do you know? I really don't know.
I'd say the same for Cooper as well. They spend this week actually figuring that out because
I think they should.
Who have they got next week?
the bye next week.
Yeah, they've got the bye next
Well,
week.
I think they're going to be okay.
If they get this secured now,
The
then-
Giants the week after.
if they get this secured now, then the Cowboys are top of this division for the next few years because the Eagles are backpedaling. The Giants are going to be spending another 2 years rebuilding,
We're not rebuilding.
and the Redskins don't ever get it right.
They're not rebuilding. They've still got Eli Manning. at
So
quarterback.
if they get this right now, then the Cowboys are sorted as a team for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I agree.
So you've got to get it done.
If you're Dak, even you probably wait until after the Giants game, and you should probably just wring a bit more money from Jerry Jones.
You
Try and get towards that Wilson money.
They'll both get paid, I'm sure.
It seems likely. We should go back to very briefly discussing the still undefeated 49ers beat down of the Redskins by a massive 9-0 in the rain.
Yeah, it wasn't just rain. It was definitely a typhoon.
It was that field was terrible.
You can't read it in your script because the printer didn't work properly, but I actually wrote them as the Washoutington Redskins because
Nice.
I couldn't think of anything wittier.
Must be on yours. I can see it on mine.
Yeah, well, you and John got ones after I realised it was printing badly. I think you find I did a good job with that.
It was hard to move the ball.
Nobody could do anything. Like you say, after they were like tackling people, they were sliding further than they'd originally run.
Both on offense and defense, the 49ers game is based around speed. It's speed of the pass rush, speed of the running game, and you can't run fast in conditions like that.
Yeah.
The good thing is that the defense held strong. They didn't concede a single point.
Defense looks amazing.
They got
just
Case
so many
Keenum. They got in the
unanswered
backfield
questions
all the
on offense.
time. Like,
Are you
know,
excited by the addition of Emmanuel Sanders from the Broncos?
We are not.
we are not. No.
Talking collectively for me and Jim,
Yeah.
we are not.
I appreciate a new wide receiver. I think that's a good move, but I just think it's the wrong type of receiver. Both me and Gary have spoken endlessly about this. We wanted a big body, red zone,
Des Bryant.
Keenan Allen,
Pick him
AJ
up on a
Green
short-term
type.
deal. If we're going to the playoffs,
If we
why
would,
would we not take Des Bryant
Yeah,
in November? I just
if
don't
we-
understand it.
if we would have given up a second round pick for Sanu, I'd have been happy. I'd have been fine with that. It's a lot. I think it's a lot of draft
I
capital.
don't
but
think we've
he's-
had to spend much to get Sanders, but I'm not sure he changes our options greatly. I
No.
think he brings more experience, but I'm not sure he makes us a better team. Myself, I know that you disagree, Griff, but
Well, I think it makes you a marginally better team. It's somebody that it makes you a better team on the basis that opposing defenses know that they cannot allow him to be uncovered.
Yeah.
It's not when you turn up with a bunch of
he's a winner. That helps.
He's a good. He's like you said,
Yeah,
he's got experience.
but
He's
when
a
you-
winner. He's a good.
You
player,
turn up with a
but-
bunch of these young players and coordinators don't pay massive attention to them individually. This gives you a guy that at least
Draws some coverage.
he may draw if nothing else, and I think that's good for you to have that.
I just think this is for a team that's 6-0. It's got to be the first time a team's 6-0, and I know that people are putting them quite high in power rankings at the moment.
Most people
but-
have him a second or third.
exactly, and I just don't think we know enough about this team to say that yet. It just doesn't feel quite like we are
Believable.
6-0,
Yeah.
but should we be? And we're about to go into a stretch of more divisional games.
I
and
think
it'll
we
be
should-
interesting to see what we
I
come
think we
out
should
at.
be. I think you're right. We've got to play the Packers, the Saints. We've got to play the Ravens. We've got to play the
Cardinals
Seahawks
twice in 3
we've got
weeks.
Cardinals twice. I think if we get to 10 wins, I think obviously that should put us in the playoffs. Although this is a tough NFC.
I'm not sure 10 wins gets you in this year.
But
It's going to be tight.
Well,
With regards to the Redskins, have teams figured out that if they basically shut down Scary Terry, then all they can do is run Adrian Peterson up the middle 25 times?
Yes.
You can't.
No,
No,
you can't
'cause
do it on this
run,
week.
you can't run in on that field. Like
But they tried.
they tried.
I don't know how
but-
many carries he had, but it was a lot. It was way more than you should be giving to a
I'm sorry, no, I mean
55-year-old
like
man.
scary Terry.
Oh, Scary Terry.
Like
Well,
you
yeah.
can't throw the ball with any distance. His game is all about pace. He's very, very quick, and no one can run quickly.
What do you have in this game? 11 yards, I think.
Yeah, one reception, 11 yards.
Well, can I just go back to Emmanuel Sanders?
Yes.
Just for a moment. He's the experience you need. If this is a team that wants to go to the plus, this is a guy who's played in 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the benefit is that he's got that experience. He is a winner. He is a good wide receiver. Don't get me wrong.
Did
I think
you
he's a
see-
good player, but it's the wrong type of player for what.
Did you
I-
see in this game though? It was the Shanahan Revenge Bowl after
Yeah, that was a bit.
after
He
they
gave the
were
game ball
sacked.
to
He
his
gave the
dad.
game ball to his dad, and it was also the Redskins' homecoming game for all their ex-players. So that went really well.
Awesome.
It doesn't matter what the Redskins do. This team is awful,
Yeah.
and Peterson's just chasing the rushing record, and he will retire the minute he overtakes the next man in the league, and that'll be
Possibly.
it. They'll be done.
Nick Bosa still continues to look amazing. I mean, I think he's almost nailed on for Defensive Player of the Year at the moment. If he keeps up this production, he's getting into the backfield consistently. Against the Rams, he just absolutely destroyed that offensive line. Like, I know there was a lot of hype about him in the draft. There was concerns about his fitness, but I can see why there was the hype. He's destroying every tackle he goes against.
Lovely Klinsmann celebration as well.
It was a beautiful Klinsmann
Yeah.
celebration. Niche.
John and Paul, do you want to discuss the fact that Danny Dimes and the Giants lost 27-21 to
Hang
the
on, sorry,
Cardinals?
was that Danny? I thought that was Eli Manning at quarterback again.
Oh, they look very similar. I can't tell them apart. The production, no, he had production, 223 yards at an average of 6.4.
How
That's
many interceptions were there?
one.
Oh, it wasn't definitely.
But he
wasn't
was
Eli.
sacked eight
Eight
times
times.
for minus 67
Yeah.
yards.
And again, that's against the defense, which isn't very good.
So Patrick Peterson came back with 7 tackles, a sack, and a forced fumble, and that was kind of it looked like his performance had been enhanced from the break.
Well rested.
Yeah, he looked well rested. Do you know what else he looked? He looked like a man who suddenly realised, I might be playing for a team that can win some games and I actually want to stay here and play.
No,
Oh,
we
I
suck,
don't know.
to
I
be
think
fair,
he,
we
I,
suck.
I
Yeah,
think
you
he
suck.
could be traded.
You do so.
Yeah.
Backup running back
Eagles
Chase
go after him.
Edmonds had 126 yards and 3 touchdowns on you.
Yeah, still available in some fantasy leagues as well.
Well, it's hardly surprising. But David Johnson, how long is he out for now?
The season.
Is he done?
Is he?
Well, I think they won't. What's the point of going back to him?
Well, I don't know.
He's not been right since he had that bad injury, has he?
No.
And he still goes high in fantasy drafts. And
The
I'm not being
potential is
convinced.
massive, but the payoff has been
Yeah, Once
non-existent.
you broke your Johnson, you know.
Didn't you have a friend who did that? A friend. Yeah, Kyler Murray continues to impress. He makes a lot of mistakes, but when he gets it right, it's very impressive. He does hold on to the ball. The two sacks were basically just him running backwards, trying to look for someone, and then
I'm
suddenly
not
realised.
convinced we beat them home and away this year.
I am.
Oh yeah, I'm not.
I think that offensive line is terrible.
Yeah.
It is bad.
With the 49ers
Your
pass
defensive
rush,
line will crush them.
I think providing they can catch him, Kyler Murray is quick, but providing they can catch him, and
Pleased to see Saquon back.
I was until at one point he went hobbling off, and you thought we've rushed him
It was a
back. here.
hamstring tweak, was it?
Yeah, but we're half a team without him.
Yeah, I think that's
that
perfectly fair.
offensive line has certainly regressed in the last week,
Yeah,
and because that was a terrible
it
performance.
was horrible.
Like-
And basically, if you give any team a 17-0 start after what seemed like 10 minutes,
Like the only-
you're going to struggle.
The only
And that's what we did.
legit pass rusher that the Cardinals have is Chandler Jones, who got
But
to.
he is pretty.
He's
Yeah, he is legit.
Yeah, but apart from that, like you could have double teamed him.
The Cardinals have won 3 in a row, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'll give them this. It's against the Bengals, the Falcons, and the Giants. But I didn't think they'd be worse than all of those teams.
Currently,
Better, sorry, than all those
currently
teams.
Cliff Kingsbury has a better win ratio in the NFL than he has at college.
Yeah,
I
well,
think the problem with Chandler Jones is, he's half a sack off being the sack leader, and the problem is
the sack master.
you can double team him, but you're still going to feel his sack.
I think there might be some innuendo creeping in it. I'm not sure.
Really?
Well, the Cardinals play the Saints on Sunday, so,
All right, so
I think the win streak might be over.
3-4 on one.
Yeah.
The train stops there.
I'll tell you what, though, I reckon the Cardinals at the end of the season will be one of the most improved teams from last year because they were terrible last year.
Oh,
Everyone's
they're
got to
already-
remember how bad they were.
They're already twice.
They've already got more wins than
twice
they had
the team.
last year.
That's what I'm
haven't
saying.
they?
So I
Yeah.
think by the end of the season, people will be saying they've had a really great first year under that new coach, new quarterback system. I think there's going to be.
It shows you that by being brave in the draft and saying, yeah, we're binning off last year's first round pick and we're going for another one because this is what the coach wants, it might actually work for them. Steve Keim might have got it right. That's all I'm saying.
I hope he has, because it's the last decision he's going to make.
Okay, so on to the AFC South. The Colts secured themselves at the top by handling the Texans 30-23. And this was all about the Colts' D-line harassing Watson. 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, throwing him off his stride. And the O-line kept Jacoby Brissett spotless.
I liked how last week everyone was saying, this O-line's suddenly fantastic now they got Larry Tunsil. Yeah, you played 2 teams with no pass rush, although apparently the Chiefs has now got a pass rush. And they suddenly come up with against a defense that does have a pass rush, and Watson's getting sacked again.
Yeah.
It might just be the fact the Colts are a lot better than we thought because
The Colts are a good team. Like, bear in mind, the only piece they lost
was Andrew
was
Luck.
Andrew Luck.
You know, Jacoby Brissett currently is on pace to lead the league in touchdown passes by 2 ahead of everyone else.
Well, I think this is a rivalry we might see for a number of years.
I agree.
I think it's going to be very interesting to watch. I think it was a battle of the quarterbacks and one that was, under a lot less pressure. But that is 2 quality young quarterbacks going head to head. It was enjoyable to watch.
I mean, also, you've got the Colts, who had the Defensive Rookie of the Year come back into their squad and surprisingly got better on defense.
Yeah, amazing, that man.
I will mention the Houston were robbed of a touchdown by some horrendous officiating again.
Bad officiating in NFL.
I know.
Can you
Against
believe
the
it?
Texans.
Can you believe it?
I know, but yeah,
It does seem to be every week. They are getting worse. I'm sure they are getting worse.
and
The
I hate
Texans
to be
are
the one
having a
to
bit of
bring
a
it
bad
up.
rub this year as well.
They
aren't
are.
I hate to bring it up, but yeah.
Didn't Robert Kraft have one of them? Do you know Brissett's got 14 touchdowns to 3 interceptions this season? If Andrew Luck had put those numbers up, we'd be saying that he's on course for an MVP style season. Nobody's saying that about Jacoby Brissett because he's a backup, but
He's not a backup.
He's not a backup.
but he's classed as
I know,
everyone
yeah,
says.
I know,
Oh,
yeah.
he's just a backup that's got the gig.
Well, he's got a new contract, hasn't he?
Yeah,
He's-
everyone thinks of him.
he could not be doing any more. Is my point.
He's playing very, very
And
well.
I'm not sure he gets the respect that he deserves.
Probably agree with that.
The 2016 New England Patriots quarterback room this year is absolutely running away with the league.
Yeah, well,
2 of them are
2
undefeated.
are undefeated, and one of them is Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, 15-2 or something ridiculous.
That's a fantastic point. Well done, you. Yeah, I mean, look, the Colts have done well to ride this out without Andrew Luck, and
So, yeah, when players leave New England, they're terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier.
No. Quarterbacks are okay.
quarterbacks are.
how did he get on with Brian Hoyer?
I was going to say.
You're sitting there brooding. I
You
think.
could see it in my face, couldn't you? I decided I wouldn't say anything. And then
It's when he leaves them this summer and goes back to you guys that he's much better.
Hoyer's never coming back to San Francisco, ever.
Did you hear there was talk that Brady has sold his house and may well be leaving New England at the end of the season, and the 49ers apparently are favourites to sign him in a
Shut
swap
up.
swap for
Bullshit.
Jimmy G. Apparently so. That's
up.
what I was reading earlier. 'Cause
If
If
Were
he
you,
leaves
were
New
you on
England-
crack when you were reading
If
this?
well, I was on lots of things. If he leaves New England, the only place he would go to is the 49ers. That's his team.
There's no way he's signing for another team, no matter what. I mean, he's going to win a 7th Super Bowl and then he retires. Please, God. If winning a 7th Super Bowl means that Tom Brady retires, I'm all for that. I will be
Get it
following
over
the
with
Patri-
this year.
Yeah, exactly. I will be a massive Patriot supporter for the rest of the year. If you say to me,
I wouldn't be
Brady's going to
surprised if
retire.
Brady retired if Belichick went, oh, fuck it, I'll take Kaepernick. Let's just have some shits and giggles.
Yeah, I don't think there's any guaranteeing that if Brady retires, Belichick walks away. I think Belichick just says, "Who's next?"
I can see that totally.
I could see Belichick going to the Giants.
I have heard that too.
He's got a lot of history with the Giants. He's won 2 Super Bowls there as a defensive coordinator. Pat Sherman might not be safe.
Pat Sherman isn't very safe.
But also-
The fans are livid at the moment.
Belichick's also got this kind of... He could
pretty much do what he wants. Can't
Well,
he? He's
yeah.
still going to be the best head coach.
Anyone would take him, right?
Yeah, he could lose. He could be 0-16 for 5 seasons and still probably have the best win record of the head coach.
I last season I worked it out that I got tired because I'd worked it out that if he'd lost every game for the next 50 years, he'd still have a better win ratio than Hugh Jackson.
I've got a better win ratio than Hugh Jackson.
And I got to 50 years and I got tired of doing the maths, and I think he still could have gone double that.
Eric Ebron's catch was quite good.
That was incredible.
Oh, super!
He's been quiet this season, but you'll not see many better catches than that this year.
He's been quiet compared to last year. He's still impressive.
Fair play for Frank Wright to challenge it as well.
Well, yeah.
Because they weren't going to give it to him, and he challenged it, and he got the.
Do you know what we were laughing about
decision.
New England quarterbacks just then? I just remembered Brian Hoyer is the backup to Jacoby Brissett. It's just come up on my screen, and but perhaps you should all just keep signing 49ers. New England quarterbacks. Who do you want at the Giants? Want to take Stidham off of our bench at the moment, or Mohamed
Belichick
Sanu?
doesn't want to play him.
No, apparently not.
It's all right. Let's
See how you get on with Danny Dimes first. Yeah.
Tell you what, though, I think this Colts team looks great. If I'm honest with you, I think it's got to be in the top 3 or 4 teams in the AFC so far this year.
Yeah.
So much.
I know it's not saying much, but
the top 20
but when
teams
you-
in the NFL.
but when you start, when you start looking at the playoff picture in the AFC, they're going to be in that picture, aren't they? You would think.
I think the Texans have got to play the Patriots. I think the Patriots have got to go to the Texans.
Yep.
I think that'll be a tough game for the Patriots.
That's where the Texans will lose by 3 points.
Yeah, probably.
That's what they've done the last 2 seasons.
And it'll be
At the moment, the
it'll be a
Colts-
bad officiating call as well.
Depending on what happens with the Chiefs, the Colts have got a chance of getting a bye. Because if the Chiefs drop games with Matt Moore, or Mahomes misses more time, the Colts are the next best team.
I think also the stats were with the Colts for this game.
All of them?
So Brissett's
just-
4-0
sorry.
all time against the Texans.
Yep.
The Texans are now 3-15 all time in Indianapolis. The smart money would have gone on Indianapolis for this game.
I've just seen this weekend Colts Broncos. That's a win, isn't it?
That's another
And
win.
That's probably a win.
if you thought Flacco had trouble last week, imagine against that defensive line. Oh,
It was good to
Honestly,
see.
double-figure sacks.
I'd just like to make a point of this so it's in our memory. Remember, 2 of you thought the Falcons would beat the Rams.
Yeah, that's very true.
that is true.
It did not happen.
I don't know. I said they could.
Good to see the Colts winning without a massive contribution from Marlon Mack as well.
The Dolphins could physically win a game this season.
I said
Steady on.
no.
Steady on.
I just
Careful
said that
now.
the Falcons could. I was wrong.
Elsewhere in AFC South, my boy Ryan Tannehill got his first start.
Yeah, taking over from your boy Mariota.
Yes, he has. Yeah, so they're all my boys down there at the Tetons. I told you I've thrown it in on Mariota. It's done. I'm standing by my decision. Ryan Tannehill. What did he get? 312 yards. How many games has Mariota had with over 300 yards passing in his career?
5.
Higher. He's had 1 this year.
70.
8. You're not going to win many games like that, are you? 70, that'd be impressive. I don't think he's played that many games.
You say that. How many's Jimmy G had? And he's winning a lot of games.
Jimmy G's
15-2.
Jimmy G has
starter.
only just played a full season's worth
Yeah.
of games. So
Yeah, but how many 300-yard games has he had?
not many.
Not many at all.
And that's why we said he might be the weak link at the 49ers.
You
But
said
Not
that.
with that running game.
But Ryan Tannehill basically couldn't have had a much better start. Now, all right, they're playing the Chargers, who it turns out are terrible, but you still got to
really
win.
bad. Chargers are almost as big a disappointment as the Falcons, I think, this year.
I think they're equally as big at this
Yeah.
point.
How good was Derwin James if he's the difference?
Pretty good.
Derwin James is good.
Derwin James must be amazing because him not being on this team saps them.
Yeah, they're falling apart. There was some interesting officiating in this game as well. Was it 3
Yep.
times they tried to get the ball across the line?
Yeah,
And
and one of it was definitely over.
yeah, I'm fairly sure the Chargers were robbed. But there was at least one camera angle where it appeared to be over, and they called it touchdown on the field. So I
And
couldn't.
they overturned it as well.
Yeah.
Which just seemed ludicrous.
I couldn't-
even for the NFL.
I couldn't understand it. It did feel, it felt like a lot of people lost a lot of money on this unnecessarily. But The Tannehill train is rolling. Melvin Gordon, got to go, right? Got to go. They were playing all right with Austin Eckler, and do you see Eckler's
right this year as well?
Eckler's receiving stats were fantastic, but they're trying to run Melvin Gordon in situations where you should be playing Austin Eckler, and I don't understand why. You're
just not working.
Not increasing his trade value by doing this. He looks awful.
Yeah, because like where he might have gone for a second-round pick,
he's now a fifth.
Yeah, because he 16 carries, 32 yards, 2 yards a carry.
I could do that.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm small. I sneak between.
Someone like the Eagles will still give you more than a fifth-round pick.
Like I say, we're saying there's a number of teams that could use a running back now. Like if he went to the Lions, he'd look a lot better, I reckon.
But Jay Ajayi was a 1,000-yard rusher, and he only went for a fourth.
Yeah,
his knees were already shot.
Yeah, they were. I'm just not sure that Melvin Gordon.
Franchises in the league.
I'm not sure Melvin Gordon's doing himself or the Chargers any favours, and I cannot see why they're so keen to work him back in. It's just disruptive.
They're also not going to sign him to a long-term contract. So
just
get something for him.
Well, should we mention my favourite player? The Ravens dominated the Seahawks.
A bit of love with Lamar Jackson.
If Tannehill's your guy, Lamar's my guy.
I think you win the battle of who's got the better guy.
No, when it came to Lamar or Russell, I was 50-50.
Hey,
for God's
come
sake.
on, every week.
Yeah, so this was a duel of two MVP candidates, and Lamar did come out on top here. I mean, it wasn't just about him, though. The rushing stats are fantastic. We know he's going to be amazing for years to come. But the Ravens' defense...
Because look at Cam. Eventually, teams are going to break him down. So he's going to be amazing for about 4 years.
Still years to come.
Yeah, but not as many as you might like.
No, but what I was going to say was the defence and special teams of the Ravens turned up again as well, and that's key for them because
They love a bit of special teams, don't they?
Everybody does. I mean, some of their play is fantastic.
Lamar Jackson so far has more rushing yards than seven teams. In the NFL.
And where are those 7 teams located?
They're
in the
all
standings?
pretty bad. Bengals, Dolphins, Jets, Bears, Steelers, Falcons, Chargers. And he's level with the Chiefs. So, one outlier.
Yeah, I mean, but he is a different class, though, isn't he?
Let's be fair. This Ravens defense should be good. This is a Raven. They've brought in Earl Thomas and Marcus Peters. They're Pro Bowl,
Marcus Peters,
quality
who
players.
inflicted Russell Wilson's first interception of the season and returned it for a pick six.
Yeah,
wasn't that his first touch of the game? I believe. I mean, you don't get much better starts than that. I felt for Earl Thomas this was the proper revenge game, and maybe he did just show up enough this week, and because he's been unconvincing this season.
He shook the hands of all the players, but refused to shake Pete Carroll's hand, didn't he?
Yeah, because he felt Pete Carroll was the one that wanted him out, and he didn't want to leave. He did enough in this game to show perhaps why they should have kept him.
But you're right, he's not been the Earl Thomas we knew and loved from previous years. He's been distinctly all right. That's about as much as you can say about him.
If I turn up at work and I'm distinctly all right, I'm delighted.
I mean, he did take Mason Rudolph out.
Yeah, and it was a hit.
It was
yeah, and we all got to see Devlin Hodges.
Yeah.
He took Mason Rudolph's mind back about 10 years.
So Lamar Jackson, had 116 yards on the day, but only 143 yards passing, 9 completions from 20 attempts.
That isn't sustainable.
No.
That isn't sustainable. But equally, Seattle's defence is fairly good, and so you're not going to play them every week. I don't know if he. Also, Mark Andrews, the tight end, dropped three massive passes, at least one of which would have been a touchdown. If Lamar was 12 or 13 of 20, then you wouldn't be criticising.
Mark Andrews had 2 receptions from 8 targets.
Yeah, but he had 3 huge drops, and he's been really good this season.
He has been good,
but he had concrete hands.
He's been playing through injuries the entire season, so I think the bye weeks come at the right time for these guys. Yeah. Because they do need to get him fit. He's a major piece of their offense. He is one of the only people Lamar Jackson can see downfield to pass to.
He's the first person he runs past.
Yeah, you could well be right.
It's just a memory game.
Yeah.
Andrews plays for us. I remember that.
Ravens didn't have, is it Marquise Brown? They didn't have him for this week as well. And he's their number 1 receiver.
Yeah.
So.
The only man who can run fast enough to catch an overthrown pass.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Wilson was hardly impressive. 20 of 41. on his passing, 241 yards, touchdown and a
Tough
pick.
defense. It's
Yeah, they both are.
coverage, yeah.
Yeah, they, absolutely. But this is indicative of the Ravens. They are going to be in all of their games. They're going to win some, they're going to lose some, because it's not the usual way teams are playing. And it's also indicative of Seattle. If Russell Wilson is stopped in any way, the team don't have quite enough. Chris Carson is okay, the receivers are okay, but it all runs through Wilson.
So I'm still not convinced about the Seahawks this year. I know everyone's bigging them up, everyone's saying they're playing very well, but they've, like I said a few weeks, they've scraped through some games.
yeah. They are.
It's looking more and more like the years when Aaron Rodgers hasn't had a defense or hasn't had the players around him. Russell Wilson is having to do magic every week.
It's looking like the Seahawks every year. Quite frankly, they are
For the last
So they'll make
couple.
the playoffs then.
So they'll probably make the playoffs and then go out in the first round.
Yeah, I think they're still a good team. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot worse teams, but they've been lauded up a lot over the last couple of weeks. And I don't think they're all that. They'd probably win the AFC,
Do
though.
you want to talk about another team that are not all that, John?
I was just going to mention the Ravens are running away with AFC North.
Oh, they are.
They're 5-2. Browns are next at 2-4. So and they're on a losing streak of 2.
And they've got the Patriots.
And they've got the
next.
Patriots
And
next.
Patriots next. Yep.
The Steelers are also on the bye this week. But bottom of AFC North, it's the Bungles.
Bungles.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
Bungles-
can just move straight on if you
Well,
want.
they lost.
should we talk about them because we aren't going to watch them this
We
week?
can't get past
Oh,
the best
God,
the
yeah.
best stat of the entire weekend.
Go on.
Joe Mixon got 7 inches per carry.
10 carries, 2 yards.
Do you know tickets this weekend are cheaper now than season tickets?
Oh, really?
You can pick up tickets for £35 a ticket for this weekend's game because nobody wants to go and watch the Bengals.
Well, it's completely one-sided match. Yes, the Bengals could beat the Rams. They're not
We're
going
just going to go and
No.
eat dim sum, and if we make it to the game, we make it to the game.
Yeah, it's just a nice day out in London.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot to say.
No,
but-
it'd be good to watch the Rams. That's why I'm going down.
I mean, if you want to see Aaron Donald destroy the Bengals,
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
which I do.
yeah.
I mean-
that could get ugly.
Dante Fowler, Clay Matthews, is he on IR? Is he still going?
It seems like a long way for the Bungles to fly just to lose. They might as well just jack it in at the airport. No, we're not coming. We're not going to bother. Thanks. Save your money.
Get
They've been close in this game for a while, which shows how bad the Jags are as well.
Yeah,
Their offense has got nothing. The
I don't
Jags'
know.
offense.
Leonard Fournette, 131 yards.
Apart from Leonard Fournette, that's it.
Gardner Minshew's doing enough to hold it together, but that's all. 255 yards
Did you
passing
know
and a
John
touchdown.
works out how to mute Minshew Mania on his Twitter feed?
That's lovely.
Do you know I've worked it out by not having Twitter?
Yeah.
All I like to do is just, if I see anything Minshew related, I just send it to you on Instagram now.
You do. It's really, really
I'll
annoying.
start doing the same.
The worst thing
Really
is
enjoys it.
Yeah.
the NFL UK Facebook page. Sunday morning, you're online. Everything is Minshew. You're like, he's not even good.
I was excited for Paul though to
alright.
see that Seth DeValve had turned up at the Jags with 2 targets, no receptions.
If you want to be a decent rookie quarterback, you need Seth DeValve.
You do. And DJ Chark was not the lead receiver this week. It was DD Westbrook, 103 yards. I mean, if they get both of those receivers playing well, the Jags are in with a shout. But I don't know. They seem to have gone off the boil a bit. And Minshew Mania is definitely not what people thought it was going to be. And
It is
this
what it
just-
is.
this
It's a meme.
Yeah.
He's a serviceable backup.
Yeah, and this is just a comfortable win over one of the worst teams
Yeah.
we've seen in a long time. Like I say, imagine if you had Joe Mixon as one of your top fantasy running backs.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Was that an auto pick?
as well?
Yep. Imagine if auto pick took Joe Mixon for you and then he got 7 inches of carry. Again.
Sucks, doesn't it?
It's going. You don't even get points for those. Believe me, you do not get points for a few inches.
Okay, well, let's take a look at the impending trade deadline. We've got a list here. One trade that each of the bottom 8 teams should be making to improve their outlook. So,
I'm hoping you guys did your homework on it, basically.
well, I want to. Who wants to suggest someone for the Dolphins?
I mean, anyone.
They've got nothing to give. They've got no
They
picks.
should be trading
They've got
away
loads of- they've got
Kenyon
loads
Drake.
of
yeah,
picks.
The
the
trade for
answer
them
here
is
is
out.
they should be shopping all of their first team players.
Yep, Kenyon Drake.
And they
Devontae
shouldn't be
Parker,
going over the
Shaw
top. They just need to walk around and say, who will give us a 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick for Parker or Drake? and just acquire as many picks as you can. That is all they can do.
Would you have had Parker over Emmanuel Sanders?
Yeah, probably.
Yes, I would have had him over Sanu.
So would I. Sanu's rubbish.
I don't think he's rubbish,
No, I
but
think Sanu's
but
good.
I think Devontae Parker is being underutilized. Do you know the one thing about the Dolphins that puzzles me is why are you playing Ryan Fitzpatrick if you want to lose? Because he will accidentally win you a couple of games,
Yeah,
and Josh
you're right.
Rosen will not. And I do not understand. They could look at one or two of these teams that have got poor quarterback situations. Hi, the Bears. Would you like to trade for Ryan Fitzpatrick? Give us a 5th rounder. Take Ryan
Nobody
Fitzpatrick.
is going to give you anything for Ryan
they
Fitzpatrick.
won't.
No.
He's too old.
I don't know.
He's just a journeyman. Nobody.
They should be at least trying.
Nobody is going to.
No, because you know in February you can just pick him up for nothing anyway.
Nothing, yeah.
Well, that's true, but they don't need him in February. They might need him now.
No one
Well,
gives
the
you
Bears-
anything
But when you
for
go to
Fitzpatrick.
pick him up in February, you'll need a forklift because it'll put on £400.
Oh, that birthday cake. Oh no, was that him? Was
Yeah, that was him.
With his
Yeah.
16 birthday parties he'd been to. Yeah.
So, according to the NFL standings on ESPN, the Bengals are worse. Than
Yeah,
the
they are.
Dolphins.
yes,
It's based on strength of
strength of schedule. But according to who's picking first in the draft at the moment, it's the Dolphins. So that's what they want.
Well, they've got to play each other, haven't they, later on in the season?
The toilet
It's
bowl.
going to be.
That is a
It's going to be a
huge
draw,
match.
isn't it? It's just going to be a massive stalemate.
Nil-all draw.
They're just giving away safeties.
So the
defense
Bengals
is on that good.
The Bengals are bottom of the AFC North.
Yep.
We know they need to replace Bobby Hart on the O-line.
They need anything on the offensive line.
Once again, I'm saying out. Get rid of AJ Green.
I'm also with John. I think you've got to trade out of AJ Green,
Yep,
get
I
him
would agree
gone,
with
and
that.
get anything you can on the O-line.
The problem they've got on AJ Green is he's not fit.
Yeah.
So
He's back
Week 9.
week 9 after
Yeah,
the
but he's
trade
still not
deadline.
fit.
He's in my fantasy team, so he needs to come back on week 9.
Wow, you've held that for a long time.
I was expecting to do that like week 4.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these teams we're going to say they need O-linemen. They're not out there, and no one is going to trade you a decent O-lineman
So
because
I'm
there
saying
aren't
Trent
enough.
Williams. He's not doing anything.
Trent
there's
Williams.
only 4 they reckon are on the trade block.
Yeah.
It was Trent Williams, Brandon Scherf,
Yep.
and Billy Price and Kelechi
Osemele.
Osemele.
So Billy
Fletcher
Price, they
Emery.
can't get from themselves, can they, in
N-
Cincinnati?
No.
No.
And
Brandon Scherf's a good guard.
Brandon
Like,
Sharp
if-
is a good guard.
If the Bengals were serious, they'd take him.
But I am with John. I think this is another case of a team that's got to give Zach Taylor everything they can in the draft. You've got to be getting rid of anybody
So, I
you
mean,
don't
there are
need.
2 teams that they're going to be going to rebuild. They're going to probably both pick quarterbacks in the next draft.
Would the Bears be better off with Andy Dalton?
Yeah, I reckon they would
Do
be.
you think they should take him?
No,
No.
Again, I'm just saying the Bears Super Bowl window is closing quickly.
they haven't got a Super Bowl window. Give it up.
I mean, to be fair, ginger people don't do very well in heat, and it's the cold as hell in Chicago, so he might do great there.
It's actually boiling in Cincinnati.
Tennessee Tetons, what do they need to do? Bearing in mind, out of all the bottom place teams, this is one that can more or less jump back up to first.
You asked me for the bottom 8. I don't see them in the bottom 8 here.
I said the bottom of each division.
I
Yeah.
didn't see what you said.
No. Well, have a think about it.
He did say bottom of each division.
Have a think about it while I go around the table, and we'll
Okay.
find out.
So
It's-
the Tetons.
The Tetons.
It's another offensive line. They're
Yeah.
dodgy. I mean, if you're saying that Tannehill's going to be the quarterback for for the rest of the season at least, and give him a try, they've got decent receivers. They've got a really good defense. The only place you probably need adjustment is the offensive line again.
Do you know what I think has been
tight end maybe just because Delaney Walker is
Old.
Yeah, maybe.
because and
You've got OJ Howard at the Bucks, Austin
Yeah.
Hooper, Tyler Eifert.
OJ Howard isn't going anywhere.
Cameron Brate at the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean,
whilst Winston is at the Bucks, you keep
they're all viable, but I actually think one of the key things that they're missing at the Titans is that Dion Lewis has been terrible this year, and they need that player out of the backfield, the James White player that the New England Patriots have.
Passing back then, basically.
Basically, because Derrick Henry is just the up and down hammer, and they need something else to complement that.
If Jerry McKinnon never got his fitness back, and
Yeah, that sort of player is what they're after.
yeah.
Maybe Rex Burkhead from the Patriots. They could Vrabel would be in contact with them and say, "Can we have Burkhead?" He doesn't get to play that much. He's been injured on and off, but he doesn't get that many snaps.
I mean, Trent Richardson's looked great in the XFL Pro videos that then got furious they didn't pick him, which is amazing for me.
We haven't talked about the XFL. There's some interesting players cropped up in their draft.
Chargers.
The Chargers.
I mean,
Quarterback.
Well, maybe.
The rivers has dried up. I agree with you. They need something else.
Yeah.
But they've got Tyrod.
high enough to get a quarterback, are they?
They've got Tyrod.
They've
haven't they?
T-Mobile.
They've got Tyrod Taylor.
The rate they're going, they could be top 10. And if they are serious about getting a quarterback, then do what the Chiefs and the Texans did in 2017: trade up and get one of the top ones, either Tua from Alabama or Joe Burrow is LSU is doing really well.
Rivers cannot have more than another season.
No, I agree. I think this.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, Herbert as well as Oregon, who's probably going to be a first round pick.
Is not the answer.
I was listening to a college podcast yesterday. And
injury to the top prospect, isn't there?
Yeah, he's going to be back.
He's going to be.
But I reckon there could be as many as 6 quarterbacks who could have first round legitimacy.
Wow. So you said Tyrod's not the answer. I agree, but is he the answer for now? Bearing in mind they're another team with no O-line and Phillip Rivers isn't mobile, whereas Tyrod Taylor is.
Oh, yeah, he's better than Phillip Rivers.
But you're right, it's another O-line need there.
But would you not just think, I might give T-Mobile a chance? Because he can actually dodge some players when they're coming running at him. And Phillip Rivers is he's basically a good version of Joe Flacco at the moment.
If Drew Brees comes back, how much would it take to get Teddy out of New Orleans?
They won't give him up now, I don't think.
No,
they've seen too much out of him.
Far too important this season. They'll keep him just in case Drew Brees goes down again.
And he's not expensive, is he?
No.
Not at the moment.
Bridgewater's $7 million, I think.
Yeah.
I think we've got 4 teams there in the AFC. All of them need offensive line help. You mentioned it earlier. The dearth of quality offensive linemen coming out of college game at the moment is really hurting a lot of teams. And if you look at the NFC, there's probably another three of the 4 bottom teams. Which
of these AFC teams should give up the most for the Redskins offensive lineman Trent Williams?
The Titans.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
because realistically, I think the Titans are the only ones out of those 4 who could make a push for a playoff place.
Yeah, because that division
I don't think Chargers are getting there.
Isn't the strongest, is it?
We just get agreement in all 5 of us around the table for that, because that's exactly what I was thinking. That's a rare occasion. Mark that one, John. Timestamp it. Right, moving into the NFC. So the aforementioned Redskins. What do you do? Yeah,
Melvin Gordon.
I think that's a great shout. Take the pressure off Adrian Peterson. Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say Devontae Parker.
Yeah.
I think you say to the Dolphins, what do we need? Because if you've got him and Scary Terry, then somebody's going to have to double cover one of those. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, that's fair enough. Lions.
Running back.
Yeah, now we know that Johnson is out.
Yeah, it's changed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Is this where Melvin Gordon ends up?
It would make sense. I mean, if they need to be willing to pay him, because you obviously don't trade for him and then don't pay him.
But then the problem with that is Kerryon Johnson is the future.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, but he doesn't need to get paid. He's only in his second
year,
year, isn't he? So he's not another 2 years before.
And look, I mean,
they need some baggage. They've lost their carry-on.
I was thinking about this, terrible. There are a number of teams that are doing. There are a number of teams that are doing running back by committee. The Lions could just do that. I don't think Melvin Gordon will command that much money because he has been woeful since he came back. He'd need to have an absolute stellar rest of the second half of the season, whoever he went to kind of command.
I think
Zeke Elliott money.
Brought the market down for running backs.
Yeah, I do too. I think Bell and then Melvin Gordon holding out and hoping for the best, not getting it.
Yeah.
I think the two of them have seriously depressed the market. Yeah. Okay, the Falcons. Now, is this like the Dolphins? Is this just give up everything in a fire sale to get picks?
Well,
not everything, but
I mean,
you're keeping Julio. Keep Calvin Ridley.
Look, if you're going to say that they're not in rebuild, then they need a pass rush.
Yeah, they need pass rush.
Yeah. Okay. So we're concentrate on the defense. That they should be.
Yeah, because we chatted. The offense is still firing on most cylinders.
Who are you after? Who specifically do you target at the moment?
Yannick Ngakoue.
Yeah.
They're not going to pay him.
No.
Not going to pay him.
Yeah, they have said
he
that.
Is going to go.
And he's quality. So yeah, that's a great shout.
Yeah. Fair enough. And finally, the Cardinals. Now in their last place, they've won 3 in a row. They've started their rebuild. They're halfway through it. What do they need to do?
Cornerback.
Just defensive backs in general.
You've got Peterson and Byron Murphy who are serviceable.
I could see Peterson
would
will
love to
probably get out of there.
Or a linebacker. You need more.
Defense definitely needs help, but this is another team that needs offensive line help.
I mean, Jordan Hicks has come in to do a decent linebacker. I mean,
they could lose Suggs as well. So
if you're the Eagles, are
Carlos
you
Dunlap from the Bengals?
Yeah, that's a good shout. If you're the Eagles, are you not lining up Patrick Peterson to fix your secondary?
absolutely.
But it's seeing where they are once Mills and Darby come back in. And
Skandrik's off that I did hear.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they're quite keen to ship him out.
I think there was a fair amount of agreement around the table. I mean,
Well, they're scoring points, aren't they?
yeah,
So clearly the issue is on defense.
Is on defense. I agree. I think definitely one or two of these teams are going to be looking at fire sales. The Dolphins, absolutely without a doubt, they shouldn't be acquiring anyone. And
you can't have a fire sale in a burnt-out building.
Xavier Howard's still there, isn't he? Well, he could be.
He's only got a new contract last year. I reckon he's the one piece they absolutely
yeah, I think they're keeping him.
He's the only other player they've got that could be a potential first round.
I was just thinking of any value is only Devontae Parker and Xavier Howard, really.
Yeah. Kenyon Drake, I think, is decent on his day. But
he's a good player, but the problem is
they've undervalued
They've
him
undervalued him, and now it doesn't look like he's worth anything.
Yeah, well, we'll leave it there. But of course, it's the next round of London games on Sunday. So myself, Griff, and Gilo are going down. So down to Wembley.
Just to clarify.
Chance to be a fine thing.
It's nice when you realise you've done it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't know he could.
That's most nights. If you can reach.
Shorter than average arms.
But of course, it's the Rams versus the Bungles. Anyone predicting a Bungles upset?
I don't know. When do they all arrive in London?
Who cares?
Does it matter?
So haven't the last few teams who've won in London gone to the playoffs? The Bengals aren't winning.
Yeah.
Well, does that mean the Raiders are going to the playoffs?
It could just be a complete blowout, like a 30-point blowout. It really, really could. I don't think the Rams have got to be that well prepared to beat the Bengals. I just don't see a way that Dalton and co don't cock this up completely.
Yeah. No,
So, looking forward to that.
Enjoy.
Let's get drunk.
Yay. Of course...
I hear the beer's really cheap at Wembley.
Oh, God, yeah.
We're going to Chinatown first.
Yeah, so as I say, if you see us, come say hello. But of course, we'll be in Chinatown before the game. So if you're in Chinatown,
But one thing I've got to say, like you said last time, if you find us, come and say hello. Nobody knows what you look like.
well, we'll put a photo up.
We're on Instagram now.
We're on Instagram.
There's
We're on-
pictures of John on Instagram, so check out the Instagram feed and find out what they look like.
Exactly, we're the Snap UK on Instagram.
Do you want to be the guy where the
John.
arms on his sweatshirt are longer than his actual arms? Just dragging on the
He'll
floor.
probably be wearing his Scotty 2 fatty sunglasses.
I thought they were nice sunglasses.
He's just jealous. Yeah.
I'm not sure he was jealous.
So,
Wrap it up, John, before you take any more flack.
who's on the bye this week? It is the Cowboys and
Ravens.
Ravens. There are other teams, of course, but
Is it just them?
Other teams are available.
it's been a long night. But yeah,
I didn't actually look that up. Normally,
no.
I have written it down.
It's Ravens, Cowboys. That's it, actually.
yep,
Yeah, it's
Ravens.
quite a
can-
small week
Yeah.
before we move into the larger weeks after the London games and into week 10, which is always
week
the worst.
10 is
Oh.
terrible.
Really, really bad.
Patriots, Eagles, and Redskins.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
3/4 of my terrible fantasy team.
So remember,
We'll be on the waivers that week.
for fantasy purposes, you've got no Zeke, no Lamar,
No, Amari Cooper.
no Amari Cooper.
That's it.
That's
Yeah,
pretty much
that's it. That's pretty much it.
Michael Gallup, maybe.
Michael Gallup. Zeke and Gallup.
Mark Andrews.
Gus.
No Mark Andrews, yeah. That hurts me more.
Um,
But John's got no Lamar, so...
He's only got that 45-point Aaron Rodgers guy.
but anyway, thank
Not
you
that
for
big.
listening
Game
to the
manager.
Snap UK.
Game manager, yeah.
We're on social media. We are on Twitter at the Snap UK. We are on Instagram at the Snap UK, and of course we're on the Facebook at Snap UK Podcast.
There's a lot of laughing because Duncan got a bit angry about me, saying that Aaron Rodgers was just a game manager. But let's point out this man thinks that Frank Gore isn't going in the Hall of Fame. I don't owe him an apology.
Yeah, what does that count?
Absolutely.
Can I just say, I thought Rodgers was absolutely magnificent this weekend. The pass to Aaron Jones could not have been any more perfectly placed.
Yep.
Just beyond the fingertips of the defender. It was just beautiful.
I think, as I said it to Duncan at the time, stop clocks are right twice a day.
But yeah,
Night, Dunk.
but yeah, and goodbye to everyone else as well. So we'll talk to you next week. Bye.